Hey everyone, happy Saturday, Hailey here and welcome back to my channel. I recently made a video about what to expect your first year of community college and it did pretty well, so I decided to do the same thing for transfer students at UCLA. So of course the topic of today's video is what you can expect during your first year as a transfer student at UCLA. And the first thing that I want to do is, first I'm splitting it up into kind of two portions. First is like the academic side of things, and then the other side is going to be more social and kind of fun things. So we'll just jump right in with the academic side. The very first thing that I want to say is expect to be overwhelmed. This is your first year at UCLA in a university setting. Maybe you're the first person in your family to go off to college and it's a completely new experience for you or anyone you know. And I just want to say that it's completely normal to feel kind of out of place. I definitely felt this way, and I want to share a little story that I don't think I've ever really told anyone because I think it's important and I think a lot of people will be able to relate to it. So I didn't really want to say anything about this before because I was kind of embarrassed, but I realized how valuable it could be for some of you guys to hear. So basically, my first week of UCLA, I think it was like literally my first or second day of American Sign Language class. I went in and I was extremely overwhelmed because it seemed like everyone was so much better at signing than me. I honestly understood nothing. I didn't understand what the teacher was signing. I didn't even understand what any of the other students were signing. So I was really struggling. And as soon as that class ended, remember this is the second day, as soon as that class ended, I literally ran into Powell Library and I was like holding back tears, and then I like ran into the bathroom and I like locked myself in a stall and I was crying, and I literally called my mom and I was like, I'm dropping out of UCLA, I'm coming home, like I don't want to be here anymore, I can't do this, I'm stupid, like everyone is smarter than me, everyone is better at sign language than me. Like that was the one thing that I felt confident about because I was always like the strongest signer, or at least one of the strongest signers in my community college. So that was like a completely different experience for me. And I just want to say that if anyone else goes into this experience feeling this way, or they don't even expect to feel this way, because I didn't really expect to feel this way, it's normal. So yeah, I mean, don't feel too bad about it. Just give yourself some time to adjust. It's a big adjustment. You're getting used to not only the academic rigor of this school, but also just like the living experience of living on campus, or maybe you're commuting or whatnot. There's a whole slew of things that could affect the way that you're feeling about this moment in time. So it's totally normal. Don't feel bad about it. Trust me, I'm sure a lot more students feel that way and you just don't realize it because no one wants to say anything, but I'm gonna be the one to say something and share this little anecdote because it's totally normal. Number two, second thing on the academic side of the spectrum. So I just want to say expect a lot of work. So even with my background coming from a private high school that was a college prep, I was pretty surprised by the amount of time that I was spending outside of the classroom on homework and studying. So this is really different from community college, because for me, community college was kind of a breeze, not gonna lie. It was pretty easy. I didn't really have to spend a whole lot of time on homework outside of class, with the exception of like bigger assignments like essays. I had a lot of free time. I would work full-time, I would go to school full-time, and I still had a lot of time to myself outside of the classroom and outside of the workplace. But coming to UCLA, that has been a pretty different experience. I spent a lot of time doing homework, especially the first quarter. For my intro Ling class, I spent hours and hours. That's not even including the time that I spent in office hours, which is a completely different story. I just want to say expect to go to office hours as well. But don't expect that things will be a breeze. You really do have to put in a lot of work, and the grade that you get will reflect the amount of work that you put in. So if you think that you're gonna not show up to class and turn an assignment here and there and maybe just show up for the midterm and the final and do well, that's not gonna happen. You actually have to put in the effort, believe it or not. This is UCLA, you have to make an effort. On the topic of free time, I also wanna say don't expect to join every single extracurricular that you come across. So I know there's a lot of excitement and pressure surrounding extracurriculars because usually at community college there aren't that many, and at UCLA it's a completely different story. I think there are like 200 plus organizations on campus that are run by students. So usually during the first week or during 0 week, or I don't remember, it's during the first few weeks of the quarter, There's the enormous activities fair, which is where all of the student orgs get together on campus, and there's like this giant fair. They have booths set up. You can come talk to the student leaders and see if anything fits your interest. But you know, there is a lot out there. You're gonna meet a lot of people. You're going to find out about a lot of things that interest you, but it's not realistic to expect yourself to be able to do every single one that catches your eye. I think personally, 2, maybe 3 max good extracurriculars that you actually genuinely enjoy and you can spend quality time engaging in, that's gonna be sufficient. Like, you don't need any more than that. If you do any more than that, especially during fall quarter, you're gonna spread yourself way too thin and you're gonna burn out really quickly, especially when you keep in mind that it's your first time going to UCLA. It's your first time dealing with this, you know, this level of classes and maybe this number of units, so don't overwhelm yourself. Similarly, expect to meet a lot of people. Expect to meet new faces from all over the place, not only California, but across the country and internationally, potentially. I know a lot of people who are international students in my major and a few of my roommates, so it's really exciting. It's a great time to make friends. It's a great time to meet people, but just a small caution for you guys. I want to say, be careful about who you choose being friends with. Choose wisely. You don't want to get involved with the wrong crowd. You worked so hard to get to UCLA. Now is not the time to slip up and start partying or start neglecting your schoolwork. Like, this is your time to shine. This is your time to really grind and get this degree and do well. Like, it's something that you should be proud of, and it's not something that you should just disregard and let fall by the wayside because you've made it here and it's like, oh my god, I have the chance to party. I'm in LA. It's fun. Like, yes, you are in LA. Yes, it is fun, but ultimately, at the end of the day, you're here to do a job, and your job is to get the degree. So some of you may be really excited about meeting your roommates or your suite mates or whatever your living situation is, but just something to keep in mind is don't expect to be best friends with your roommates. And I say this just because living with someone is a completely different situation than just being friends with them. Like, there is a whole unique set of stresses that comes with living with someone. You know, sharing a space, cleanliness, just being conscious of others, you know, sleep time, sleep schedule, and, you know, your noise level and all that kind of stuff. It puts pressure on you. So it's great if you are friends with your roommates or if you're, you know, cool with your roommates, but don't expect to be best friends with someone. If you're living with them, you're already spending a huge amount of time with them. It's not normal to spend 24/7, 7 days a week, 365 days a year with someone. It's not healthy. So don't expect that from your roommate, and don't let them demand that from you. It's not normal and it's not healthy. Also, you know, your relationship with your roommate may change. Just because you start off the semester pretty close doesn't mean that it's going to end that way. Doesn't mean that the year is going to end that way. And similarly, just because you start off the semester maybe not liking each other, maybe you will get closer. Once again, living with someone is a unique situation. You know, you figure out kind of their true colors just by living with them. So expect that relationship to grow and take on new forms. Last thing I want to say is on the topic of money, and this is kind of a big one. I talk about this a lot. Basically, expect to spend a lot of money. I'm not just talking like housing, tuition. Obviously, you're going to be spending a lot of money on that. You know, if you can get scholarships and grants, great. Not everybody can. It's pretty hard. It's pretty competitive sometimes. So, you know, loans and stuff like that. But I'm just talking about food, football games, basketball games, all the stuff you do outside of the classroom, all the stuff that you do for fun. Transportation is another huge one. If you're someone who's not from the LA area, like myself, I live 400 miles away. I spent so much money on transportation, you guys. Like, plane tickets was a huge one. I mean, there were times where I kind of decided to come home last minute. There were like 2 or 3 times where I decided to do that, and it was just a necessity for me because I was homesick, or it was like a 3-day weekend and people went away and I was bored and I didn't want to be alone by myself on campus, so I decided to come home. That was a lot of money. Ubering was a lot of money. Ubering, you know, to a restaurant or to a bar or even to the airport. I spent so much money on Ubers to the airport because, you know, they hit you with that surcharge as soon as they find out you're going to LAX. It's like a hot spot and they charge you 2 times the regular amount to get there. So expect to spend a lot of money. If you can save up, I know it's kind of late at this point, but if you can save up before you start going to school, or if you can work during the school year, I would highly recommend it. I wish that I had saved way more money than I actually did. Like, I had saved what I thought was a good enough amount, but it wasn't. Like, the amount of money that I actually spent, even just in the first quarter, was kind of ridiculous, but it was necessary. Like, it's just the cost of living. And as I'm getting older, as I'm becoming more independent, I'm realizing, like, wow, my parents do a lot for me, and they've done a lot for me for the past 20-something years. So the moral of the story is expect to spend a lot of money. Alright everyone, those are the main things that come to mind as I reflect on my first year as a transfer student at UCLA. If you have questions, please leave them down below. I will happily get back to you as soon as I can. And if you haven't already, please consider subscribing to my channel. I am a transfer student myself at UCLA. This will be my senior year. I'm constantly uploading videos about transferring, UCLA life, and community college as well. So please subscribe if you haven't already, and if you are a subscriber, I will see you next Saturday at 3 p.m. Bye!